did you watch more than 30 years in the TARDIS? More than 30 years in the TARDIS?
I'm Tom Dickinson.
And I'm Louis Midas.
And this is The Cloister Room,
a podcast about Doctor Who and other things.
How did you experience Shada?
So I intended to experience it two ways. I was going to experience it. I wanted to experience it with the footage that we had with the linking narration by Tom Baker, and I did watch that.
So that's like the 90s VHS version, basically.
Right. Yeah, I think it was like, 1992 or something?
I believe so.
Yeah, so I watched it that way, and then I was going to also, and I don't know why, I don't know why I feel like I need to explain this, but yeah, it was 6 parts, but they were kind of like shorter than your normal Doctor Who episodes,
right,
by a little bit. But then I was also going to watch
the Paul McGann,
right, the Paul McGann Flash animation, and I did start that, and I don't know, well, first of all, I was running out of time, but also I realized this seemed a little bit silly because I mean it was a more complete version, but it was also not really anything terribly new. So I decided I kind of like skipped around in that, so I didn't watch the whole thing.
I only watched the first 4 parts.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay, well,
I actually started by reading the novelization. Or by listening to the audiobook of the novelization, which was by Gareth Roberts, who has written such Doctor Who episodes as The Unicorn and the Wasp, The Lodger, and Closing Time.
Yeah.
And then I watched the VHS version, and then I watched the McGann version, by which time I was like, I've kind of got the gist of this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do wish that I had started earlier and was able to watch the whole McGann thing, but I don't know. I do think that I got the gist of it, so I don't feel like I'm missing out.
Well, I feel like the VHS version kind of, I mean, entire scenes are boiled down to single sentences.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of the dialogue is actually really good, so I'm glad that I got to read the book, which has a lot of the same dialogue, but not all of the same dialogue. Some of it is adapted or just added. And the McGann version has a lot of the dialogue that's missing as well. But you largely get a sense of the story by watching the VHS version. It's a little hard to follow, I find, but
yeah. It's funny you mentioned the dialogue. I did really like the dialogue, and I guess that was because of Douglas Adams, because I'm always, I don't know, it seems like whenever he writes an episode, I always enjoy the dialogue, and I imagine that's him. I imagine that's not just some coincidence.
No, it isn't.
Because there's no such thing as coincidences. But anyway, yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is ultimately I am going to probably go back and watch the Flash animation at the very least so that I can hear more of the dialogue. But yeah, I don't know.
The novel was probably my favorite version. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So does it follow the events of the episode pretty strictly, or does it like elaborate on more things?
It embellishes and elaborates. It gives Chris Parsons and Claire Keighley more of a role in it. And it adds in a sort of romantic subplot between them that isn't present in the televised version. It just adds in some background, like you get more of like what Skagra's perspective was, why he what his background was, and how he had come to like have these horrible attitudes. You learn about like why Professor Chronotis is retired. What does it mean for a Time Lord to retire? it's just like a lot more background information. And a lot of the stuff that is added, some of it actually has references to New Who that I found kind of strange.
Really?
Yeah, like the Corsair is mentioned.
What? Wait, when was this released?
This was released just last year.
Oh, okay. So okay, I wasn't sure what was
yeah.
That seems all right. That's less confusing when you when you explain it like that. But yeah, no, that is kind of strange. I mean, I guess I prefer, like, I mean, I guess I like that. I guess I like the idea that they're trying to, I don't know, make it more relevant or whatever that accomplishes. But I don't know, that at the same time, that is kind of weird.
It is kind of weird. Kind of like there are First Doctor like novels and audios that reference the fact that he's a Time Lord from Gallifrey, which is something that would never have been referenced during the era because it hadn't been thought of yet.
Right.
And it kind of there are things about that that's kind of cool, and there are things about that just seem kind of wrong.
Right.
But I think they pulled it off pretty well. Another thing was fixed points in time are mentioned. Because at one point it's suggested, well, maybe we should contact Gallifrey for help, and the Doctor says, oh no, if we contact Gallifrey, the Council will probably just destroy Earth so as to prevent this book from getting out. And then Ron's like, they would never destroy Earth. It's a level 5 civilization with lots of fixed points in time all over it. The Doctor's like, yeah, well, they would anyway. So yeah, so something like that. I'm paraphrasing,
right?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. So that's kind of weird. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's.
I think the reason I like the book the most, though, is because it's the most like coherent and cohesive version,
right?
Because the VHS version with the linking narration is just sort of constantly drawing you out of it,
right?
Having like major, like for instance, the biggest one is like the scene where you find out that Professor Chronotis is actually Salieven,
right?
Isn't even shown. It's just Tom Baker just kind of mentions it. And like all of these big dramatic things just don't happen.
Right.
Whereas with the McGann version, I feel like it's kind of, you've got the audio, but it's very disjointed from the Flash animation because the Flash animation is very limited and motion comic-y, and
right.
So the novel feels like its own complete coherent thing unto itself.
Yeah,
I kind of enjoyed it most of all.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. I kind of want to read it now.
It's definitely worth a read or a listen, as the case may be.
Yes. I don't know. I've never listened to an audiobook, and I don't know. Something about it seems... No, never. I don't know. It's in my mind, it seems kind of daunting. I don't know. I don't know why. But it's just, I don't know. I've never done it.
See, I find it less daunting than actually reading a physical book because I can like listen to an audiobook while I'm driving or while I'm walking, or I don't have to while I'm not paying attention. I don't have to sit down and make time to read. I can just
That's true.
build it into what I'm already doing.
That's true. I suppose I just have difficulty envisioning it working in my life just because I've never done it before, and I don't know. I guess I should think of it more in terms of like a podcast, because I listen to podcasts while doing other things. So it's perfectly conceivable that I could listen to a book while doing other things. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's really quite similar.
Right. It's more of a just like a mental kind of block on my part. I don't know. I should probably just get over that.
Yeah, you really should.
Yeah, I would say that the VHS version was kind of disjointed, and first of all, it seemed weird shifting between a young Tom Baker and an old Tom Baker, and also the old Tom Baker kept referring to himself in the first person like this was stuff that was actually happening to him.
Even though at the beginning he was referring to like the production team and talking about how, we all cried and cried, which I don't believe, by the way.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, in that opening scene, I was just really confused and a little bit upset by the whole thing. And I just...
my favorite part is when he's going after the monsters and he It's like, beat you, and he says to the giant robot, he's like, beat you, cock. Which was the strangest thing. I was like, why is that in there? Does that have different connotations in the UK that it doesn't have in America? Because here it just sounds like he's being unnecessarily vulgar.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just really kind of strange. Yeah, maybe it does. Maybe that's a common thing. That's just like, yeah, that's just something you say to someone you have defeated in some way, like physically, or maybe like, I don't know, like in a business sense, maybe in the modern day, guys in suits are just saying "beat you, cock" to each other. I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know, but it just does seem kind of really weird. I just don't even know what to make of that.
Yeah, he kind of overreacted. I feel.
Yeah.
It's like you don't need to get that like aggressive to these museum displays. It's like the Vervoids wasn't even you.
Right. It's almost as if Tom Baker himself just kind of thinks he is the Doctor, and not only that, he encompasses all of the Doctor, even the other generations.
He may well do that. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just kind of the vibe I get.
Could be. I was reading the info subtitles. I don't know if you know about those. They're a feature on the DVD.
Yeah. Where
it's a secondary subtitle track that just tells you like info about the story. And sometimes sometimes the info subtitles are rather sarcastic or like sassy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like for instance, at one point, early on, there's a guy who gets attacked by the sphere and he falls into water.
Yeah.
The infotext is like listing off his previous credits in Doctor Who, and like he was an extra in this, he was in a monster suit in that, and then as he falls in, he says he would later go on to make a splash in blah blah blah, things like that. And sometimes it will try to like talk along with what's going on screen. Like the doc at one point, Tom Baker's narration says something like, "As Skagra stood appalled, blah blah blah," and he says something about the story. But like the info subtitles are talking about the story's cancellation. Is like, "As Skagra stood appalled, the serial was canceled for blah 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 blah." It's like that doesn't mean anything. Why are you saying that? It's just being snarky.
That's amazing. That's adorable, and also
it also insulted the music in the.
Oh, really?
In the serial. Yeah. How did you feel about the music?
I don't really remember it, to be honest.
It was done by Keff McCullough, who did a lot of the 80s Doctor Who music. And he was deliberately doing an imitation of Dudley Simpson, who did a lot of the 70s Doctor Who music, and would have done the music on this. And the info subtitles say something like, Dudley Simpson would have done the music, blah, blah, blah. He was blah, 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 and he was contracted and this and that. And it says, and the music that we are currently all enjoying so very much is being done by Keff McCullough.
That's amazing. Yeah, I have to wonder if anyone actually checked this before they sent it out, or they just had like an intern type it up.
Oh, no. They've got people who like do like tremendous amounts of research.
Oh, really?
And like as much effort is put into these subtitles as is put into like anything else on the DVD.
That's pretty amazing.
But I guess they're perfectly comfortable with being a little funny.
Yeah, it's probably okay too, because I mean, so when you're talking about the subset of people who are going to buy this DVD, and then within that subset, a smaller subset who actually finds or knows about that feature, it's probably not many people who will actually enable it, and so I feel like you have a bigger risk of getting, I guess, complaints maybe if it was a thing that everyone was looking at, and maybe there'd be some crackdown within the BBC to get serious with these info titles.
Yeah, I don't even watch them all that often. I only watch them in this case because I had just seen Shada recently anyway. So I figured this time I'll watch it with the info text. Another one I thought was pretty good is like it's talking about the college in Cambridge where this was actually filmed, because it was filmed at Cambridge.
Oh yeah.
And at one point Tom Baker says, "St. Sed's College, founded in something something by someone, and then in something something," and then he's just. But as he's saying that, like the info titles on screen are like saying the actual name of the college and who was actually founded by, and who actually attended it, and yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, well now I have to I have to finish watching the Paul McGann animation. I'm just gonna call that McGannimation. I have to read the novelization, and I also have to watch the VHS again with the little subtitles on.
And you have to watch Ian Levine's thing.
Yeah, I have to somehow get invited to his house.
Did you see what I emailed to you?
I did. I did watch the trailer. Yeah, that was something. It kind of reminded me of like C-Lab 2021.
Yeah, I could see that.
That kind of animation style. Yeah, that was something.
My favorite part is like the opening where he's sort of mournfully explaining over this sad backing music that he's not allowed to release anything. I just feel so sad.
Yeah, but yeah, and it is a real shame that we can't enjoy this thing that clearly so much work clearly went into.
I assume you didn't watch the full 49-minute trailer for all 12 of his projects, did you?
Oh no.
Okay, good. I haven't done that either.
No, there was. I did actually have things to do with my day.
Oh, good.
And and even if I didn't, I don't know if I would have invested the 49 minutes.
Some of it's pretty rough.
I don't doubt it. I really don't doubt it. Also, I wasn't thrilled with the Tom Baker impersonator.
Yeah, he wasn't that great.
I was constantly distracted by the fact that it was very clearly Tom Baker, or it looked like Tom Baker, the cartoon representative of Tom Baker, but the voice was just ever so slightly off, and I don't know, that's bothersome. It's like you know what it's like? It's like when you have a Disney movie, and then Disney decides they can make like an animated TV show out of the movie.
Yeah.
And then they can't get the big name actor that they got to voice in the movie to voice in the show. So they have to get an impersonator.
They have Dan Castellaneta voice the genie.
Yes, exactly. Exactly like that. Yes. So it's like that. It's just bothersome.
Yeah.
That always bothered me when I was little.
That didn't bother me when I was little.
No way, really?
But it does bother me now. Like, because when I was little, I loved the movie Aladdin.
Yeah.
And as far as I was concerned, Return of Jafar, the sequel to Aladdin, the direct-to-video sequel, featuring Dan Castellaneta.
Oh, that's right.
Was just as good as Aladdin, as far as I was concerned. And then I watched it again when I was probably about 17, and I couldn't watch more than about 2 minutes of it. I was like, this is terrible.
I see. Oh, yeah. I forgot about The Return of Jafar. I forgot that it was not Robin Williams.
Yeah. They got Robin Williams back for the third one.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess I just didn't watch Return of Jafar that much.
Oh, I did.
I guess so. But yeah, huh.
Douglas Adams didn't like Shada and didn't think it would be any good if it had been finished. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Well, you're always your toughest critic, but at the same time, I don't know. I kind of agree with him. I think it would not. See, I don't know. In my mind, I don't think it was quite. It depends on what he meant when he said it wasn't going to be any good. Because I mean, it's certainly not. It's not Time in the Rani. It's not the thing I can't remember with the Sea Devils and the Silurians.
Yeah, the Warriors of the Deep.
Yeah, Warriors of the Deep. It's certainly not Warriors of the Deep. It's certainly not Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Sorry, I had to throw that in there. But
I know.
I think based on what I've seen, unless the stuff that wasn't filmed would have dragged it down, I don't think it would have been that bad. I mean, I don't think it... Oh, well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if they had rushed filming on it to try and make another Warriors of the Deep, maybe it would have been terrible. Like, maybe...
And, I think they very nearly did rush filming on it because there was a point where they had already lost several days of filming to the strike. But they thought that they were going to be able to... they thought they were going to be able to pull it off anyway. by basically condensing the remaining material down to half the time they should have given it. So it may well have, if they had finished it, it may have existed in some very rushed form.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Because I'm trying to think if... Cause I'm thinking of the VHS version, and I'm trying to imagine removing all of Tom Baker's narration and replacing it with people dancing and roundhouse kicking badly conceived monsters. And yeah, I think that might have actually dragged it down.
Yeah, I actually thought that everything that they did shoot was pretty good.
Yeah, actually, me too. Yes.
Like, I thought the actors were good. I thought the sets were really great. I thought the location filming in Cambridge looked really good. I thought the dialogue was funny. I liked the bike chase. That was good.
Yeah. So
I'm not quite clear on why the book falls out of the basket.
Yeah, unless it's like the One Ring where, it chooses its master or whatever. Something like that. But yeah, I think for the most part it was, it seemed like it was on track to being, I don't know, an all-time classic. I mean, I don't know if it would be like one of the best episodes ever, but I mean, I certainly would not have called it no good.
Yeah, Douglas Adams didn't even want the VHS released.
Huh.
He apparently signed off on the release by accident.
Well, there you go.
It was delivered to him in a stack of other papers that he was signing for other reasons. And he accidentally signed away the rights to the VHS version. And by the time he realized that it was too late. That's what he claims, anyway. Douglas Adams had a tendency to say things that weren't true.
Really?
Yeah, and he admits this in the introduction to the omnibus edition of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series.
I see.
I'm not an obsessive fanboy or anything.
No, of course not.
Elements of this story were recycled into a Douglas Adams novel.
Oh, I feel like I knew that somehow.
Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency contains Professor Chronotis. And he's a time traveler, and his office is an unspecified kind of time-space travel machine. And he doesn't remember his background and origin. So he could well be a time lord.
He could in fact be, what was it, Salyaven? Salyaven. Could in fact be that guy.
He could. And I haven't read Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency recently enough to know whether the events of that can be reconciled with the events of this to like say that they could possibly have both happened to the same Professor Chronotis. So I honestly don't know.
Huh. Yeah, well, I think this is something that needs to be reconciled.
I should think so, yes.
Speaking of reconciling things, I did like how the McGann animation sort of squeezed in an explanation both for why Shada didn't, like both sort of explaining away why Shada didn't air, but also explaining why Shada's footage was used in the Five Doctors. It's because they were that was basically the time scoop thing happened. If I'm remembering this correctly, the time scoop thing happened, and that was why the events of Shada didn't happen, because the events of Shada were about to happen, and then the time scoop got in the way, and then they forgot.
Right, yeah, because that... I mean, if you're going by the broadcast version of the Five Doctors...
Oh, right.
When they get returned at a different time and place, and they just get into the TARDIS, and the TARDIS materializes.
Right.
Which is Shada footage, but it's Shada footage from a different point in the story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is kind of... It makes some sense, but the Doctor just kind of turns up and just begs Romana to come with him, just because, not because it's really necessary. But it's like, come on, don't you really want to?
Right.
And by this point, Romana and K9 have returned from E-Space.
Right.
And Romana is president of Gallifrey because this was previously established in other Big Finish audios. And also novels, I think, but I'm not really familiar with them, so mainly Big Finish audios.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was wondering if there was an explanation for why they were no longer in E-Space. Yeah,
to be perfectly honest, I don't know how they returned from E-Space. That's not something I know, but I know that they're not there anymore.
Well, I could kind of figure that. Unless there was a Gallifrey in E-Space. I'm pretty sure there wasn't.
No. Well, yes, it's called Alzarius. It's where Adric comes from.
Oh, there you go.
Because they go to the coordinates for Gallifrey
That's
in
right.
E-Space, and they get to Alzarius.
That's right. I realize it wasn't very well explained, or the rationale for why the Doctor wanted Romana to come. It's not very well explained at all. I don't know. I thought it was kind of neat. It was kind of, I mean, I guess it wasn't like perfectly elegant, but it just, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I also thought Paul McGann did a pretty good job with the Tom Baker dialogue.
Yeah.
Which kind of made him come off a little bit more goofy than the Paul McGann I'm used to from like Big Finish audios and stuff.
Right.
But still, he did a good job with it.
Yeah. I mean, in a sense, each Doctor is their own, kind of has their own personality and stuff. But more or less, you can kind of shoehorn any Doctor into any Doctor story because, they all function basically the same way. Even if there is like different quirks like dialogue and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I also liked seeing the footage, or rather recognizing the footage that they used in the Five Doctors, because I thought that was kind of cool to see it as it was originally intended.
Yeah. So a topic of eternal debate is Shada canon?
Ooh, yeah, wow.
And if so, which version?
Yeah,
Ian Levine's version is canon.
Of course. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. I mean, come on.
I mean, he was the unofficial Doctor Who continuity advisor.
Yeah, I would go so far as to say that all Doctor Who canon must be looked at through the lens of Ian Levine as a person and, as a human being. Just like everything, just everything has to be viewed through his lens.
I'm sure he'd agree with you.
It's almost like a silly question.
I think any question like is blank canon is always a silly question.
But
yeah, I don't actually care about the answer to this question. By the way, I was just sort of I was just sort of noting that it's a topic of debate.
Well, and of course it would be.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we're gonna reconcile this. I think we also need to reconcile Van Staten or whatever.
Oh, yes.
Not knowing what a Dalek is. So if we can tackle Shada, I think we need to tackle that too.
All right.
At this point in time, I don't want to like sound like I'm like super jaded or whatever, but I almost feel like it's just not even an issue. Like the issue of just canon in general in Doctor Who, just especially with, the more recent seasons where, time is all rewritten and stuff. I just don't even know how big of a deal canon really is.
I think that's the policy that Russell T Davies took, and that's the policy that Stephen Moffat takes. So I'm fine with that too.
Yeah. So if they don't care, why should I?
Yeah. When I like, for instance, when I listen to Big Finish audios, I hold them against the standard of like the TV show, and I hold them against the standard of one another. Mm-hmm. But like when I'm watching the TV show, if the TV show contradicts a Big Finish audio, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's fine. Things can contradict one another.
Yes, especially in a show like Doctor Who, things can certainly contradict one another. That's more than that's almost expected.
They almost have to.
They really do. It's an obligation.
I think this is the first story you've ever seen from season 17.
Possibly.
So you may not have heard a story with this version of K9's voice.
No, I haven't, and I thought it was really weird.
K9 was introduced in season, I guess, 15.
Yeah.
In seasons 15 and 16, he was voiced by John Leeson.
Right.
And then in season 17, John Leeson left, and he was voiced by David Brierley. And this was explained by saying that K9 had at some point gotten robot laryngitis. And then in season 18, John Leeson came back to voice K9 for his final season.
Okay.
And in all subsequent appearances in like Big Finish audios and in the new series and in the Sarah Jane Adventures, he's always done by John Leeson. So there was just this one season where he was voiced by someone else for some reason. And I'm not entirely sure why they changed. I'm not entirely sure why they changed back. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I was very curious about that. I wasn't sure. At first, I wasn't sure if that was an issue with Shada being like, I don't know, maybe they inserted, and I guess they probably do insert, the voice later, when after they've acted out the scene or whatever. I'm sure that's not something that like is heard over a loudspeaker, or maybe it is. I don't know. At very first, I wasn't sure if if it was just that it was John Leeson without like some sort of voice modulator, like maybe usually it's put through a filter and it sounds different. And then after a while, I kind of recognized that definitely was not his voice. And then I thought maybe it was just like a weird thing, like he wasn't around when they did this VHS release and they had to do it some other way. But yeah, and then I ultimately looked it up and found out that it was that he had left for that season, and I was very, I don't know, I was very interested to know why, but I guess the internet wasn't willing to tell me, so I figured no one knew.
I'm sure someone knows. I'm sure it's talked about on some commentary or some DVD featurette that I haven't seen in a while or wasn't paying very much attention to. Just didn't absorb.
Yeah, I have to say I'm just not too thrilled with this portrayal of K9. I mean, not that it's like a hugely different portrayal, but I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like, and maybe I don't know if this was his fault, but I don't know. Just K9 seemed like really passive aggressive. I don't know. I don't know what it was.
And in what way?
I don't know. Just like every single thing they asked him to do, he just seemed like this smug little bastard about it. I don't know. Like he was just...
I actually kind of like that.
I don't know what it was. Something about the way he was delivering his lines. Like I'm trying to think of a good example. Like even when Professor Chronotis. I made it sound like a disease. Chronotis was like dying or whatever, and K9 was reading his life signs or his vital signs or whatever, and he was just, I don't know, it was just something about it was, oh, he's dying now. I can't even do it. I don't even know what it was. It was so, I don't know. It just seemed so passive aggressive. I don't know.
Insufficient data.
Yeah, like that.
Insufficient data.
Yeah, God, I don't know.
Snarky bastard. Why didn't you tell us there was an invisible spaceship here? I assumed you could see it.
Yes, that was like the line where I wrote that note down to myself. That was like, wow, this is really passive aggressive. Ah, man, I don't know. Maybe when he got robot laryngitis, his sarcasm circuit switched on or something. I don't know.
I feel like there's even more of that in the novelization.
Oh, really?
And actually, in the audiobook version of the novelization, it's read by Lala Ward, but John Leeson turns up to voice all of K9.
Ah.
No one else is voiced individually, just K9. But in, like, for instance, he gets into a sort of almost like a rivalry with Chris Parsons, because Chris Parsons is talking about the sophisticated idiot problem, where K9 hears Romana say, "Blast it!" and then he tries to blast the wall, and then the laser beam ricochets all over the place. And it's like, oh no, and then he's like, oh, this is even in the future, computers have this sophisticated idiot problem. And then K9 starts talking about how unsophisticated humans are and how they believe superstitious things, blah, blah, blah. And then it's sort of like a running gag from then on out that he will always take every opportunity to stick it to Chris Parsons when he can.
That's awesome. I guess it was just strange to me because I really wasn't expecting it. Because I was expecting the sort of, I don't know, the normal K9 that I'm used to.
Well, he does get like that sometimes.
I guess so. I guess he really does. I almost kind of want to see more stories with him now. Get like a better sense of this K9 Mark II. I've
gone through phases with K9 where for a while I just felt like it was the dumbest thing in the world. But when he's snarky, I really like it. When he's just really snarky, I kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, I guess so. And I mean, I don't know, if I were stuck rolling around being, trapped in the most innocuous of terrain, I would say, yeah, I probably would take it out on everyone else.
I really like in the McGanimation version when Paul McGann says, like, K9, you love Earth, and then he says that the composition of Earth's soil impedes his movement.
Yeah, that was good. I do have to say that I did like that. So yeah, I guess you're right. I guess that is worthwhile. The TARDIS light. In the VHS version, it was like this weird blue-ish, almost like violet colored light, and it like spun.
That might have been done in 92.
Really?
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't really remember that, but...
It bothered me. I did...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. It's just... well, because it seems like... And I guess I'm not really bothered by this anymore. I guess maybe they needed Ian Levine on the set to tell him what was what. But, you know, I definitely know that in some stories in the classic series, they just don't... The light on top doesn't light up at all. And there's... Like, when it's, you know... When the TARDIS is in flight or, you know, is taking off or whatever. And, you know, it'll just fade and there'll be no light or whatever. Anyway, I don't know. This one was just really visible as lights are. I don't know. I wanted to think there was some reason behind it, but it was strange. I thought it was strange.
I didn't happen to notice.
I guess I am in a minority.
I guess.
Maybe this was clarified more in the audiobook or book, whatever. What was it like? Salyaven's power was that he could go into other people's minds?
Yeah.
But the Doctor can do that in the new series.
No, well, the general idea is that Salyaven can, like, implant ideas in people's minds. It can, like, rewrite their minds.
Okay. All right.
And
I got
all Time Lords have some amount of telepathy to them, but only Salyaven has, like, a particular gift to rewrite people's minds. So
I got you.
Skagger wants to use that to rewrite his own mind all over the place.
Right. Okay. All right. I get that now. Okay. That was... I feel like I probably missed that in the VHS version. I'm sure that was explained and I just didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, I don't know what the script does, but the novel kind of goes into a little bit more about the backstory of Salyaven and how he was condemned to Shada and how he escaped and how he how and why he did this and that, and the fact that he was actually innocent and had never done anything wrong, but the Time Lords just feared him. So it's all a big to-do in the novel.
Ah, I see. Okay. That actually I kind of like a little bit more, because it seems like at the end they kind of just let the professor go, and, you know, they don't really, like, say, like, hey... You need to not...
You did crimes.
Right. You need to do the time for those crimes. But yeah, so... Yeah, I thought it was a little bit weird that they just kind of let him go.
Yeah, basically, in the novel, it's explained that they just always feared that he would use that power against them.
I see.
So he was sent to Shada, but managed to escape by hiding a TARDIS on his person. And he managed to come back and rewrite everyone's mind, so they forgot about Shada, forgot about Salyaven, and he took on a false identity as Professor Chronotis.
Ah, I see. Huh. That actually makes a lot of sense. Also, that's an interesting concept that you could, like, smuggle a TARDIS on your person.
Because the exterior can take any shape.
Right.
And presumably any size.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'd never thought of that.
I don't know whether that was scripted or whether that was dreamed up by Gareth Roberts. I'm sure somewhere out there is the answer to that question, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, either way, it's a clever idea. You know, overall, I think I like this story.
I like the men's choir.
Yeah. That was pretty neat.
They just walked up to the production team while they were, like, in some Cambridge bar, and the production team was talking about all their woes with the production and the delays and how apparently they were originally going to film the chase scene at nighttime, but the lighting crew was the first to go on strike, so they had to reschedule for a day shoot. And then while they were at the bar kind of lamenting this, the head of the choir just kind of walked up to them and said, "Hey, can we be in Doctor Who?" And they were all drunk, so they were like, "Sure, you can be in Doctor Who."
That's awesome.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, you know, I guess so. You just catch the production team when they're drunk and ask to be in Doctor Who. I think that's like, you know, I think that's like a mythical creature. Like, you catch a leprechaun or whatever, and they have to grant you a wish or something. I don't know if that's actually how leprechauns work, but you know, it's same idea.
Yeah, I think the leprechaun has gold.
Yes, gold. That's how it is. Unless, well, you know, they can grant wishes that relate to gold.
If you wish for gold, they got you covered.
Exactly. But yeah, so it's like that. And the Doctor Who production team can grant Doctor Who production related wishes, I guess. is it normal for Time Lords to just kind of like fade away like that? Like when Professor Cronotus dies, he kind of just fades away, and Tom Baker was just like, or rather the Doctor was just like, oh, he must have been on his last life.
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, that is kind of weird. It seemed kind of weird to me, I guess, but I didn't really think all that hard about it.
Well, because, have we ever seen any other Time Lord at the end of all their regenerations who then dies on screen?
We've seen Time Lords die on screen, like in the classic series, but it's not clear. Or we've seen Gallifreyans die on screen, like Gallifreyan guards. It's not clear, are those people Time Lords, or are they quote-unquote just Gallifreyans? Or are they on their last regenerations, or have they been... Or do staser guns magically suspend your ability to regenerate? And it's kind of unclear. And so, to be honest, I don't know for sure the answer to that question if we've ever seen a Time Lord die on screen because they were out of regenerations. Under circumstances where they would normally regenerate, but they have no more. Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
That's interesting. You'd think, well, I guess not necessarily, but I in my mind, I would imagine that they would have covered that at some point, but I guess that's not necessarily true. I guess it'd be kind of neat if that was the case. They just kind of faded away and got replaced with some sort of weird column of twisty light time scar tissue.
Sure, why not?
I'm assuming that has to happen at some point. You've got to go from fading away to column of time scar tissue.
Well, I always thought the time scar tissue was specific to the Doctor. According to him, he has traveled in time more than any other person who ever existed.
That's right. So that might just be an issue with him. So maybe he couldn't fade away like that. I'm trying to invent excuses for this to work, but yeah, that's true. That's true. It probably is a unique thing to the Doctor. So the Doctor would be an atypical death regardless.
Yeah. Did you watch More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS? More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS?
I actually did watch some of it. I watched enough to, at the very least, see some of John Pertwee demonstrating the Whomobile. So I felt like I got my money's worth out of that.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I think I watched like the first half hour. I think it looked like it was about an hour and a half long. So I was not able to watch the whole thing.
So you also saw some of like the specially filmed scenes of like monsters chasing a little boy, or members of the cast.
Yeah, that was adorable. I kind of felt like, okay, this must be them just trying to relive the old days and like trying to do something while Doctor Who is off the air.
Yeah, well, that's really the thing of it, and it's sort of in the end they kind of talk about like the prospects for Doctor Who's continuing, and they talk to they have a clip of some guy at the BBC, the controller of BBC One, whose name I can't recall, who they ask him, like an interviewer asks him, is it true that the BBC is in negotiations with Steven Spielberg to create a Doctor Who movie? Well, it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and what ultimately came of that was the McGann movie.
Oh.
Spielberg was, at one point, his production company was involved with the movie, and then later became uninvolved because they had some issues with it, but
okay,
they weren't crazy about a version of the script that was turned in, so they sort of said, "We're done."
Huh? I didn't know that.
It's true. Let's decide what story we'll be talking about at random to follow Shada.
Okay.
All right, so I'm using our special random selection method. I'm consulting the Oracle. And the next story, it's The Curse of Peladon.
Okay.
It is.
Oh, all right.
Hey, you don't believe me?
No. I would never doubt you or the randomizer. So what's this story about?
The Curse of Peladon. Well, it's about a planet called Peladon.
All right.
And there is a curse.
Oh, well.
It's the first of 2 different stories about Peladon.
Really?
Yeah, they in season 9 there's the Curse of Peladon. And then in season 11 the Doctor went back to Peladon for the Monster of Peladon.
Oh.
But the Curse of Peladon it includes the Ice Warriors.
Oh. Hey, that's cool.
So I think this will be your first classic exposure to the Ice Warriors.
Yeah. Huh. That's cool. I'm down with that.
Okay.